Are there still dinosaurs among us? My name is Yadira Sanchez, and today I'll tell you about depths where conditions get dangerous. Then I'll tell you about some historic moments in ocean exploration, and lastly, I'll tell you about some sea creatures that have been discovered at certain depths. Let me begin. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it's easier traveling to space than it is plunging to the bottom of the ocean. While 12 astronauts have spent a collective total of 300 hours on the lunar surface, only 3 people have spent about 3 hours exploring the Challenger Deep, according to the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. For every 33 feet traveled below sea level, the pressure goes up by 1 atmosphere. The air that surrounds us here above sea level is pressing down on our bodies at 14.7 pounds per square inch. But we usually don't feel this as our body fluids are also exerting the same amount of pressure. With that being said, the deeper you go below sea level, the more likely you are to encounter the dangers of nitrogen narcosis, which impairs cognitive and motor functions. Or if you panic and try to ascend too quickly, then you'll get the decompression sickness, which is also known as the bends. And this is basically just nitrogen bubbles forming in your bloodstream. The oceanographic submersible called the Titan was a way to get paying customers to be able to see the vast depths of the ocean, since nobody has ever really seen it before. The Titanic wreck sits at about 13,000 feet below sea level, which is about 380 atmosphere of pressure. At the depth that the Titanic wreck sits at, that's about 5,600 pounds per square inch of pressure, several times the amount that we normally feel here above sea level. Now that I've told you about depths where conditions get dangerous, let me move on to some historic moments in ocean exploration. Here we have the first 2 people known as Lieutenant Dan Walsh and Swiss engineer Jacques Piccard, who were the first to reach the Challenger Deep on January 23rd, 1960. Here I have some more historic moments listed, but I would like to highlight the most important that I feel, which is on October 3rd, 1970, President Richard M. Nixon created the new agency, the NOAA, because he believes that studying the fauna and deep sea environment will lead to breakthroughs in biotechnology and maybe even the understanding of how life began. I've told you about some depths where conditions get dangerous and historic moments in ocean exploration. And so now allow me to talk about some deep sea creatures that have been discovered at certain depths. Almost all deep sea creatures look very different or odd compared to regular fish that we normally see here. But this is because they've evolved to live in darker and harsher conditions in the deep ocean. The first deep sea creature we have here is the gulper eel, which is the most bizarre looking due to its abnormally large mouth because it's able to loosely unhinge it to be able to eat bigger prey. The gulper's eyes have also been evolved to only see traces of light and not even form images. With a process known as the bioluminescence, the photophore in the gulper's tail is able to flash red, luring prey into or closer to its mouth, so that way whenever in range, it'll just snap and consume its prey. The last sea creature that I have here, which is, I feel, the most important because it's an example of the various possibilities of different living fossils that we could have deep in our oceans. The coelacanth was thought to be extinct since the end of the Cretaceous period over 65 million years ago. Fossils of the coelacanth have even been found that date back to 350 million years ago. The scales are also another prehistoric feature on this fish because it's Scales are called cosmoid scales, and they're only found on extinct fish. It has a special adaptation called the tapetum, which is also found in dogs, cats, and even dolphins. But this basically allows the coelacanth to be able to see as much as possible that it wants, even in lightless environments such as the deep sea. They have even been seen swimming backwards, but this strange action that it does allows it to use its rostral gland, which helps it locate its prey even in dark areas. Scientists also believe that the coelacanth is able to slow down its metabolism due to scarcity in the deep sea. Probably why they have also survived for so long. With that said, let me conclude. Today I've told you about depths where conditions get dangerous, historic moments in ocean exploration that are very important, and lastly, I talked about some deep sea creatures that have been discovered. To wrap up my speech, I'd like to include a quote by ocean explorer James Cameron, which says, "Imagination feeds exploration. You have to imagine the possible before you can go and do it." Thank you.